What's up guys, Bouncy Snipe here, and today I'm finally back. I have not done a commentary in forever. So what I'm here bringing you is a live commentary about a topic that most people talk about but they really don't seem to understand, and that is the confusing topic about CPU bottlenecks. So you're getting this new, so let's just put you in perspective. You're getting a brand new system. You're just doing a whole new system. And currently you want a 6300 CPU and you want to get a 750 Ti. Well, that FX 6300, no, that's a bad example. I want to get an Athlon 750K, but I'm getting a 760. Will this bottleneck my CPU? No. The answer is in most cases no, because see, a bottleneck is when your CPU, you can tell there's a CPU bottleneck by your CPU is capped at 100% load and your GPU is in, I would say, anywhere between 50, I would say anywhere from 60% or below in most cases. I'll explain this in a second. In most cases, 50%, 60% or below. And so that indicates that your GPU is not being fully utilized because it's waiting for your CPU to catch up. So how do you avoid them? Well, first you can avoid them by picking a basic rule of thumb is pick similar generation hardware. Don't pick a GPU that is from now, I guess, and then pick a CPU that's from like 4 or 5 years ago. That is in most cases a bottleneck waiting to occur. And this is terrible gameplay because I'm talking, but I'm hoping that you guys learned something. It's pretty much, if you don't buy, in most cases, unless you buy a super high-end thing back then you get a modern thing now, in most cases, it's better to just do a full upgrade a little bit down the line and have more balanced components, because having mismatched generations can usually lead to having a configuration that just doesn't perform optimally. So that's one way. Another way is picking components that are similarly priced in comparison. I don't mean like I have a 500 CPU, therefore I need a $500 graphics card. That's not what I mean. What I mean is you don't buy like, I'm just talking about CPU bottlenecks here. You don't buy like a $100 CPU and then slap a 780 Ti to it. That doesn't work. Well, I mean, it does work, but you'd be getting significantly less frame rates. In most cases. I keep saying that. Wait a second. But in most cases, however, so what you would want to do is you would buy a $200 CPU, such as an i5 or an FX 8350 or whatnot. Like, when I say i5, I mean if you're gonna overclock it, an overclocking ready one. If you're not, here's a bug, guys. That guy was in half. Oh, there he is again. Hello. But that's kind of what I mean. If you buy like a $200 CPU and then you buy a $300, $400, $500, $600 CPU, because it's an i5 is not going to bottleneck a 780 Ti by any stretch of the imagination. That's one thing. So, and it works the other way around too. Don't buy a $100 CPU and then buy not CPU graphics card like a $130 video card, such as 260X, and then buy like an i7 4960X, for example. That's an extreme edition. It costs $1,000, and honestly, it's not gonna in any way help the system that you could have just thrown in an FX 6300 or 6350 or an 80 or whatever. You could have saved yourself money in buying a better GPU. That's a bottleneck to the CPU. However, in games, you will be getting the same frame rate depending on pretty much any CPU at that level of price point. Every CPU will pretty much be able to run, unless it's like an AM1 chip, which is really low end. It is made mainly for home theater PCs. So what do I mean when I say mostly your GPU should be at 68% or lower? If there is a GPU bottleneck, that's what your GPU usage should be. Well, here in Battlefield 4, not in this map, because this map is particularly intensive, but in the last match, in the last game, where we were playing Hanan Resort, and that's not a particularly intensive map because you don't have wave effects and all of this weather stuff going on. Yes, it was a 64-player server, but even then, I was capped out at 60. I'm still capped out at 60 right now, which I'm surprised about. I'm not running at Ultra, but I'm running pretty close to Ultra, and honestly, Ultra is just pretty much for bragging rights. You aren't really gonna see that big of a difference compared to high, or I'm on actually mostly Ultra, some high, mostly Ultra, but that's besides the point. Because I've went into the Battlefield hard software configuration, and I've capped my thing at 60. This isn't my recorder capping me at 60. I went into a thing because I don't like to see tearing, so I wanted to do that. Rather than turning on VSync, which adds input lag, I decided to cap my frame rate at 60 FPS. So if my graphics card can currently handle that, great. So that's what I'm trying to say here. But if you look at, I have MSI Afterburner running, and my GPU usage now is running at 92. That is not a bottleneck. However, at Hanan Resort, because it was 60 FPS, it was capped. My GPU was trying to output a frame rate that was even higher than that, which then therefore my GPU usage was actually only around 60 to 70, or I saw as low as 45% in some places, which is incredibly low, and you'd think that maybe there would be a bottleneck in there somewhere. Well, there isn't, obviously, because now it's running at 97%, and my CPU is not at 100, because it's not maxed out. And I'm I'm recording right now with DxTory, so obviously, and DxTory is using 4 of my threads, which isn't even using those 4 up, which is awesome. So that's kind of what I'm saying. That's what I mean by mostly. If you have capped your frame rate and your GPU is capable of a higher frame rate, and it's capable of pushing more, it'll turn itself down just to do the 60 FPS. If it can do higher than that. If not, it's gonna go at max settings just to get you, not necessarily to get you 60, but to do as much as it can. My GPU is doing probably around 70 or 80 right now, which allows, yeah. So that's pretty much what I'm saying. So, what does another bottleneck look like? Well, let's go over another example. Let's say, well, there's always a bottle. You can't have a perfect system. In a perfect world, there would be a perfect system where everything ran at 100%. Everything ran at 100% utilization whenever you did something intensive, and then never faltered from that. That would be a perfect world where everything just moved fluently. There will always be a bottleneck, especially in computer hardware. You cannot avoid them. What you can do is you can limit the impact of them by picking parts that are similar to each other. So I have a bottleneck right here. Even though my system is running fine, yes, this is a GPU bottleneck, kind of. See, GPU bottlenecks aren't always necessarily a bad thing. See, you don't want a GPU that's low powered. You want one that's high powered and will be capped out, and your CPU isn't. Which pretty much means you're getting the maximum frame rate that you will anyway get. But there are smaller bottlenecks as well. And I wanna take that into account as well. Power supply, for example. A power supply is a great example. I have a 750 watt power supply. I can almost guarantee you if I plug this thing into the wall, I'd be hitting probably at most 400 watts. Like if my CPU, if I was running Prime 95 in the background and Battlefield 4 and I was recording, I would probably, or Firmart, not Battlefield 4, because that's those two benchmarks, and everything was capped out at 100, fan speed was 100, everything was just going. I'd probably only be seeing around 400 watts drawn from the wall, and that would be even less because of the inefficiency of my power supply. So that's what I'm saying. I have to fix this fan curve. It's really annoying. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but that's another thing. It's just small things like that. SSDs are better than hard drives. However, right now the SATA 3 the SATA 3 bus is outdated, and that's why we have SATA Express coming and M2, which is another reason why I want to upgrade to Intel soon. So yeah, that's kind of that's pretty much the basis of what I'm talking about. You can't avoid them, so in a lower end system, the best you can do is limit them, and they're not going to be as rampant per se and obvious as in a more high-end system. Because in a high-end system, at a certain point, you hit parts that are always going to be working together. At a certain point, you pay for a CPU, they're all going to perform the same. That's even happening now with lower end products, such as the A10-7850K. The A10-7850K is a beast of a chip from AMD, honestly. It's better than the 4300, which is FX line. It has integrated GPU, and it runs pretty much any graphics card. Honestly, I've yet to see a graphics card that it actually, quote-unquote, bottlenecks, like, terribly. It performs with the big dogs in most games, especially games that are, it supports HSA and a bunch of newer technologies. So, as you will see, there's only one bottleneck in a major bottleneck in the new configuration in the new configuration that I'm doing for my friend, but we're going to be doing a build guide on, because his budget was low. We couldn't afford 8 gigs of RAM, so 4 gigs of RAM is what we're stuck with. There's a bottleneck, but those types of bottlenecks can be easily diagnosed because I know what I'm getting into before we do this. Before the computer's built. It's not like, oh man, no, I know what's going to happen, and what's really great about this bottleneck is it's super simple. Oh, buy another stick of RAM, just put it in the second slot. Okay, now we have 8 gigs of RAM, now everything's going to run just fine. Thank you for watching my tips on bottlenecking. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like and that subscribe button, and also, go check. I might have a new channel coming out soon where it's just going to be our professional stuff. This may go on there at some point, but it's going to be more professional channel, not gaming, and I'll let you know in a video when that actually happens. But for now, guys, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.